Okay, welcome back to Best Practice TV. If you're somebody who is interested in NFTs, the Metaverse and Web 3.0, in this video, I'm going to be talking about how in your normal bricks and mortar business, these things can be applied as you innovate and think about what the future and what's coming for the future. So I'm going to hopefully take something that's really technical and crazy and break it down and make it really simple for us. I'm not one of the smartest people on the planet. In fact, I'm probably at the bottom of the rung. But what I can do is I can make things that are really complicated simple, and we can think about how in your business or in your life you might be able to take advantage of this. So if you're somebody who would like to kind of think about how you can make money, either you've got an established business or you're thinking about starting a business, I'm just going to talk about some of these really basic principles. I think they're valuable, particularly if you're already a client of ours, or you're already working with me or working with Best Practice. This is one of these kind of info videos in terms of a booster session. We did do an invitation to our email database, and we've got a bunch of great new followers on Instagram. So welcome to the people that have recently followed this account. I hope I can bring you some value. I hope you can stick around. And I hope that now that you're here, that you'll learn from this. I really thank you for your time, and I really appreciate your support. And the Kardashian campaign that we've just been involved in has been really successful for us. So I hope I can bring you some value, and thanks very much. So let's get into it. I'm going to talk about NFTs. I'm going to talk about the metaverse, and I'm going to talk about Web 3.0 and how that can actually impact you and how you can use that to help you make some money, and certainly be aware of how you might be able to use that in the future. So if you are keen to stick around and maybe you're thinking about how can I earn more money, how can I make more money? There's some great opportunities here. So I'm Australian. We're here live in Sydney, Australia, and there's a storm outside, but it's still a beautiful part of the world. So I hope to welcome anyone here anytime. So reach out to me, and I'd be glad to chat. Okay, we've got a dashboard. The guys here in the studio, we've got Cam and Luke, and I keep forgetting your name. I apologize. We've got an intern here, Shirley. Shirley's here today. So we've got an intern who's just started today in the studio helping out. They're behind the scenes, making everything go well and make me look amazing. But I have got a dashboard. We are live on LinkedIn. We're live on Instagram, and we are live on YouTube. And so if you have got comments or if you have got questions, I'm here to answer them. We're going to be live, and we'll take a little while. Okay, let's get into it. Let's talk about NFTs really quickly, and how that works. So you might have heard some terms kicked around recently if you do consume any of this content, and we've heard people talking about the blockchain. The blockchain, the best way to describe it is like a public notepad, a public legal notepad, a public sheet of paper that you can't erase. And what it does is that you can enter data, or other people can enter data on that, and all it does is keep adding to it. So we can go back and do research. What has happened with NFTs, or non-fungible tokens, is that they have become a digital record on the internet and available on the blockchain of what is happening, or pieces of information. So let's go back one step. If there is an asset, so say a house or an apartment, or a piece of physical real estate like a car, like an automobile or a vehicle, we can actually now, using the blockchain, is set up a chain of ownership. Now, the cool thing about the blockchain is it's decentralized. So it's not just saved in one company's website where it's centralized, or one entity. It's not the government. It's not banks. Anybody who subscribes to that specific blockchain has a piece or a copy of it, and it's impossible to delete because you've got lots of decentralized places where it's stored. So instead of just keeping a record on the motor registry database of the ownership of a vehicle to say that you're the owner, or a piece of real estate, the local government keeps a notification in terms of the ownership of a piece of real estate. It's now decentralized. Can it still be stolen? Absolutely. Yes, it can still be stolen. If someone steals your identity and changes the ownership, it can still be stolen. But the great thing about it is that you can see publicly on record who owns what. So the checking of ownership is what this is all about. So what has happened recently with digital artwork is that we can now trade and sell digital artwork where we couldn't in the past. It was really easy to sell kind of artwork, like, maybe some of the things that are behind me, the physical asset. Now, it could be replicated. There could be multiple copies of it, or there could be an original painting. And what's happened with the internet is that obviously with iPads and tablets, people have been able to do amazing digital artwork, but they haven't been able to sell it. So the problem that NFTs have solved in the first instance is the ability to transfer ownership of a digital asset. So a JPEG, for example, and there's been lots of humor and commentary around digital JPEGs and who actually owns that. So the blockchain becomes the record of the ownership of a digital asset. Where I find NFTs to be really exciting is that specifically in bricks and mortar opportunities. So paintings, so traditional forms of artwork, traditional beautiful things that are made, and where they do need ownership. Classic cars, for example, something I'm interested in. Real estate, something I'm interested in. Companies, share certificates. So the New York Stock Exchange, for example, our Australian Stock Exchange. You will see the blockchain and NFTs move really quickly into those marketplaces. So a non-fungible token, which is if you have bought and traded shares, you will have a non-fungible token for every share that you have if you bought shares in a company or if you're investing in stocks. So your stocks I see this going in that direction. I see a digital record of a piece of real estate. If you bought an apartment or you bought a house, I see digital records of cars. So although non-fungible tokens right now are crazy, you might have seen them on Instagram or you might have seen them on LinkedIn. You're seeing all those crazy things right now because the creative people are at the forefront. They're the early adopters. You're going to see, as these technologies be adopted, solving really important problems in the standardized economies around the world. The tracing with the blockchain in the supply chain. So if you're buying, if you've got a business that is buying, raw materials or parts from a country in another place, transferring ownership of that material via the blockchain in the supply chain. So on the truck to the ship to the port to the factory to your business or to your store, for things that are high value assets, we can see digital custodianship, if you like. So we've always had a problem with that. Who owns real estate? If you look at what's happening right now in Russia and the Ukraine, for example, you've got one country attacking another country, and if Russia is successful, and I hope they're not, but if they are successful, then you will have a complete reorder of who owns what real estate. Like, it's literally wiping the map of the real estate there. And if the blockchain existed in the Ukraine right now to track real estate, Russia wouldn't be able to invade and take ownership of it. So it's going to embed and stop those kinds of things happening. Even though they can protect it with guns and ammunition, there will be the long-term proof of that small piece of real estate in that physical location belongs to this person that earned it and paid for it. Now, they may reestablish another blockchain, and that will become part of the problem eventually down the track, but it's a very long way down the track with NFTs, is that if there is duplication or fighting for ownership of specific physical assets, then that's going to be tough to manage. So non-fungible tokens right now are a digital token or a digital piece of code to give recognition for ownership of something specific. Now, it could be a soft asset, like an image or a piece of digital artwork, or it could be a physical asset. Now, I'm really excited by this. One of my hobbies or my side projects is to restore old things. Right now, I'm restoring an old boat, and some of you may have seen that on my Instagram. We will tag that account, but if you have a look at my Instagram account, you will see that side project, and that project that's got its own page. I'm really excited because I'm going to be creating a non-fungible token, one, for that asset, and it's a physical asset. And then it will have a digital record of the ownership, because there is no ownership traceability for that boat right now. There's no central register. It's registered and it's got identification, but you can't you can't research the history in terms of ownership, and you can't continue to tell that story. The boat's already 53 years old. I expect it to go way past 100 years old after this restoration. So chains of history over hundreds of years. So NFTs are going to play out in the long term. I think it's something interesting to watch right now, but I don't see NFTs coming to broader adoption for probably another 20 years. They're definitely, it's kind of hyped right now, but it'll be like the internet. When I saw the internet explode when I first started my business, we had the .com boom and the bubble, and then it busted. And then we have these unicorn companies, internet companies now down the track. So if you kind of map that timeline, that's what's happening right now with NFTs. We've got a bubble, it'll burst, like the internet bubble burst. And then in about 5 or 10 years time from now, you will see the creation of unicorns. And then in 20 years time, you will see companies worth trillions of dollars that are on the NFT and blockchain space. That's how long it takes these things to get momentum. And I think that's kind of the segue right now into the metaverse. A lot of people have been asking me, what's the metaverse? What does that look like? How is that? So I'm going to if you're struggling to understand it and you're watching this video and you're learning about the metaverse, please use the term cyberspace. And so what I'd encourage you to do, and you might have already seen it, is go and watch the movie Avatar. Famous movie, international bestseller, blockbuster movie, Avatar. If you've got some time, go and rewatch Avatar. If you haven't watched it in a while, if you haven't seen it, watch the movie Avatar, because what you have got is you've got people going to interact in a virtual world, in this instance, in a different place. And they have an avatar, and it's like a real live avatar. So that would be like Metaverse 1.0. Now we're talking about Metaverse 3.0. I've had a few recent questions. Should I invest in the metaverse? Should I buy real estate in the metaverse? And my answer to that question right now is I'm not. I'm watching. Now, there's a couple of things with the metaverse. If you just think about cyberspace, the metaverse does already exist, by the way. I watch my 11-year-old son interacting in Minecraft. He plays Minecraft with his friends, and they create worlds and they do things in Minecraft. The Minecraft is a form of the metaverse. It's a virtual world where there is virtual things happening, and they're building and interacting, and they're in there playing together in the Minecraft worlds. There's all sorts of crazy stuff like bullying. There's lots of issues that society has, and they will continue to exist. In fact, probably more so in those places where we're going to have to be super careful because the police can't get in there and have physical controls and or authority. So it is decentralized, the metaverse, where it's not kind of one central place. And I think the thing that's going to play out in the next 10 years is we're going to probably end up with 100 different metaverses because people can create them. And that's the great thing about it. But it's going to take a little bit of time for there to be one that leads the pack. And I think eventually there will be 4. And that's no different as like in any market. Like you've got Apple and Samsung and, and other different mobile phone companies. We're going to see that with metaverses as well. And Ryan Sahant, who is somebody that I follow on Instagram, he's got some great content. He's created the universe, the Sahant universe, and he's creating that. And then you've got Zuckerberg creating Meta. So I think it's going to be a race, and it's going to be a race that's going to take maybe 4 or 5 years, and different ones are going to have different applications. But there's a couple of warnings for you and they're things that I want you to consider when you're looking at the metaverse, and why I don't think now is the time to get in. And that is number 1, supply and demand. If you're speculating, if you're buying things and you're speculating they'll go up in value, they go up in value when demand drops off. So if there's limited supply, then things go up in value. That's pattern recognition. That's what drives increase in prices. So if you're somebody who wants to make some money out of the metaverse, then consider that at the moment, I don't have any visibility over where the walls are, where the demand's going to stop. So I would say no. In my instance, I'm not looking to park my money yet or place bets in that space. Now, there's another word of warning with the metaverse is the laws of physics don't apply. What do I mean by that? Now, when I watch my 11-year son playing Minecraft in a realm in Minecraft, they have false gravity. So the Minecraft, characters can jump, but they go up and they come back down to a level platform. If you think cyberspace and you think space, there's no gravity. And so there's some of the laws of physics that just, force equals mass times acceleration, the law of gravity, those kinds of things don't exist in the metaverse. They can be built into the metaverse, so it's easier for us to understand it. But I have been seeing animated videos of examples of the metaverse, and people are appearing as robots, and the robots are hovering, or they're some kind of different avatar that's not human. They're a cartoon version of themselves. And so that our brains can understand it, these things walk around or move around, But the reality is that gravity doesn't exist. And so when we talk about that at the moment, from a real estate perspective, you can only occupy the surface of the earth, and you can go a little bit above the surface of the earth into a high-rise building and a little bit below the surface of the earth into a mine. But largely speaking, the supply and demand is only what's available around the circumference of the world. In the metaverse, it's unlimited. There's unlimited potential. When there's unlimited potential and there's unlimited supply, it's difficult for prices to go up. So when there's only one available of one thing and that thing is really popular, the price goes up. So if you're thinking about investing with the purposes of this might go up, speculating, then just be mindful. But I think the application of the metaverse is a really great one, because I think in business, to be able to have, we've been having virtual meetings and video calls all over the world already today before we shoot this video. That's been really great. And to be able to have an almost person-to-person interaction, I think would be excellent. To be able to have a meeting in this room with people from all over the world without the constraints of flights and accommodation and cost and time zones, I think that's really exciting. And I think connections and, hanging out with your family and having dinner or a meal with your family and kind of all cooking and eating something that's very similar and sitting and having Christmas or an incredible, a wedding or those kinds of things. I think to be able to let you experience that, I think that's going to be amazing. To be able to go on virtual holidays, to be able to go and experience an incredible outdoor environment from a 3D cyberspace perspective, I think it's going to be amazing to see some of the beautiful places on the world. So I think in the short term, travel in the metaverse, which is virtual travel to real locations on this planet, so you can see them without the significant cost of flights and accommodation and the time. You can on the weekend, you can go and have a virtual travel opportunity in a destination. So what does that mean if you're an entrepreneur thinking about opportunities? Start creating venues. If you've got a real life travel venue, or if you're a real life travel destination that's been affected by COVID, then you could actually have virtual visits to that location. Now that's really cool because you can't catch COVID. Your guests can't catch COVID, and you can't spread COVID that way because they're visiting your venue or location from the safety of your own home. In a short range experience, having a virtual experience of a restaurant, but then actually delivering the food, so it's not that far away, but it's still a virtual experience, you can bring people into an experience, but actually engage their other senses. So don't forget, as humans, we've got 5 senses, or a 6th sense for some people. So we want to think about that. And the metaverse right now is not engaging smell. It's not engaging temperature. It's not engaging taste. It's just dealing with sight and hearing. So we need to be thinking about that. And that's why I think now, yes, it's early, but start thinking about sensory experiences from a business perspective or a trade perspective, and start thinking about that. Like you can't go swimming in the metaverse and feel wet. You can go and virtually swim, but then there's no gravity, so the water's not going to stay in the swimming pool. So I want you to be thinking about that. And I really want to challenge you thinking about what's happening from a metaverse perspective. I see we've got a great team of people. If you are watching, whether you're on Instagram, whether you're on YouTube, whether you're on LinkedIn, let me know in the comments where in the world you are watching from. Super excited. Shout outs to, hello, Nick Fagan. Good to have you on board. Andrea, got you on board. Cameron's here in the studio. Matt Jenkin, good to have you back. Kiana, great to have you. She's out in the office. And Yusuf, great to have you in Morocco. So people all over the world, and I can see that on LinkedIn. That's excellent. If you are watching on YouTube, please let me know where you are watching from a YouTube perspective. And hey, everybody on Instagram, if you are watching live, thanks for joining us, and welcome to all of our new Instagram followers. Lots and lots of new Instagram followers in the last couple of days, which has been really exciting. That account is really blowing up, and we're excited. So, okay, if you want to know what's going on Instagram, go and check it out. My handle is @Kobi Simmat on LinkedIn. It's @Kobi Simmat on Instagram. It's @Kobi Simmat on Facebook, and it's Best Practice TV right here on YouTube. Okay, so we've talked about NFTs. We've talked about the metaverse. Let's quickly talk about Web 3.0. Okay, the very first version of the internet was computer, like my laptop here, talking to another laptop. And so that was, maybe through a virtual private network or a VPN, if you like. Then what happened was, like when I started this business, for example, I could dial in through dial-up internet into the server that was in our office. And that was, part of kind of Web 3.0, to computer or computer to server to computer. Then what happened was we started talking about clouds. What is the cloud? The cloud is just a really big computer in somebody's office that they're renting space on. And so a lot of what we're doing right now is using cloud computing, which is we are crowdfunding. We're all sharing the cost of these really big computers. So your banking, for example, if you're using internet banking or online banking, the hosting of your text messages. We're not actually physically sending a message from phone to phone. It's going up into a cloud or someone's computer in an office in a building somewhere, and then it's waiting until your device connects, and then it's dropping the message down. Facebook runs the brains behind Facebook is huge server farms, huge data centers where all the information is being processed, and then it's actually pushing out to you. And so there are quietly in lots of cities and towns all over the world, big computers in rooms, in buildings that don't have signage, no staff, and those big computers are doing the work of the internet. What's happening in web, I guess the problem is that's really centralized. It could be a government running it, and it can be controlled, it can be filtered, the messages can be managed. But in Web 3.0, we start to decentralize again, which I think is really exciting. Computers are getting faster and faster, and we are getting more and more knowledgeable. And in the same way as I can take my iPhone and I can take a photo and I can airdrop that to Luke, that is Web 3.0. Web 3.0 has a number of things. One, it's decentralized. So that is, we're back to multiple connections that are part of the internet instead of up into a cloud that's one of a computer center that's maybe Amazon's data servers. Like Amazon is one of the largest data center organizations on the planet, alongside Facebook, alongside a number of governments. But those companies are often quite a lot bigger than governments in terms of computing power and hosting. And what's happening now with Web 3.0 is we're starting to decentralize. But one other really interesting thing is happening. The terminology that we can talk about is machine learning, artificial intelligence, and some support from users and user experience in the form of algorithms. We've already been hearing about algorithms. We've been hearing about the Instagram algorithm, the Facebook algorithm, the Amazon algorithm, those kinds of things. But what we're starting to see is machine learning and artificial intelligence supporting our user experience. And that is becoming, I guess, smaller and smaller to the point that we can now have these devices do some machine learning. And so Siri, for example, that's part of the Apple process, or the Apple system, and your device, your small machine can start learning to help you. And this, in essence, it could be behaving like a robot, essentially. It doesn't have arms and legs and it can't physically move things, but what it can do is it can assist you and it can make you more productive. So in Web 3.0, we're starting to see like a hybrid machine-human interaction. And I don't think it's ever going to be exclusively machine. Like, I don't think we're going to get overtaken by robots because they don't have a purpose or a reason to exist. And so I think that we're the ones creating these opportunities. I'm sure it's going to go wrong and it's going to hurt people in the future, and that's unfortunate. But right now, what we want to be thinking about is how can we improve people's experiences? How can we make people more productive? How can you do more of the things you want to do and less of the things you don't want to do? And so I think that, you could start with, say, cleaning toilets, for example. So I think, Web 3.0 is not going to be able to clean your toilet yet. But you could have the ability to dial through the internet and turn the lights on in your house and turn the heat on in your house at home. And then all of a sudden your house will learn when you're going to get home, because your iPhone tells you that you're not far away. You won't actually physically have to dial in. It'll just notice that your phone is getting closer, and the behavior that you take is that you walk in and turn on the lights. And so predictive actions is where I think in the first instance, Web 3.0 is really going to help people. So, hey, from Ernesto in Mexico, great to have you guys on board. So if you guys, hello, sunny Melbourne. That's awesome. It's good to see that the sun is out in Melbourne. Nick, great to have you on board there. Any comments on Instagram at this stage? Because I can't see that. No. Okay, cool. So have you guys got any questions? So I think it is a great opportunity. I didn't want to take too much of everyone's time today. I think it's important to watch. I'm watching it very closely. I'm thinking about how it can help the businesses that we're already helping. So for already working with you, how this is helping you, how we can actually deploy it, how I can help you have a competitive advantage for your organization, help your organization. Can we use these technologies to help your organization be a better place to work? Can we use this technology to help your organization to have better customer experience, to help your customers, or be a better investment? And I think we've got to look at these kinds of things and understand how we can use them in the future. I'll give you an example. Keys. I haven't got my keys on me right now, but I don't think keys are going to exist for much longer. And in fact, I think even if you had a Tesla, one of my next door neighbors has a Tesla, that when his phone gets in close proximity to his vehicle, the vehicle unlocks. So my car, I need like the little, the little gadget, it's called a fob, the little fob for my car. And when I get close to my car and I grab the handle, it unlocks. And so I think, from a keys perspective, that's a technology that's going to be redundant. So I wouldn't be building a really big locksmith company right now and focusing on keys, unless you're going to make specialty keys for old houses and old locks. But if you are a locksmithy or something like that, start looking at the digital technology and how you might be the time to build an app that you can put on your phone. You get close to your house and your front door unlocks when you reach for the front door. Now, I know that technology already exists, but it's not prolific. Keypads, for example. So there could be a PIN code to get in the front door of your house where you live. Then you can't forget your keys, you can't lose your keys, you can't lock yourself out. My mother-in-law locks herself out of her house all the time. If we were to give her a keypad for her door, then she could just get in. Now, of course, anybody who steals your key can get into your house. Anyone who steals your PIN code could get into your house. So it doesn't solve that problem. What it does solve is some of the other problems, like what happens if I lock my key in the car, or what happens. So I think we've got to think about those things and think about the problems we're trying to solve and the challenges that we've got, and then we can go from there. Okay, I wanted to be quick with this one. We are at the half an hour mark, and okay. Are you doing another broadcast? This sounds interesting. Radinga, yes, we are going to be doing another broadcast. We have recorded this. It'll be available on our YouTube channel. So if you go to Best Practice TV, once I sign off, give it 15 minutes. Actually, give it less than 5 minutes, and it'll buffer. And this whole presentation is available on our YouTube channel, Best Practice TV. How can these technologies help with business improvement? I'm not going to say quality systems because no one knows what I'm talking about. 100%. If you talk about auditors won't exist in about the next 5 years. So I wouldn't be spending too much more time becoming a professional auditor, because artificial intelligence and machine learning is going to take over the role of the auditor, and you're going to have a traffic light system. And so if a company hasn't done what they said they would do, their intranet site is going to have maybe a red traffic light, a yellow traffic light, and a green traffic light. And we won't need an auditor anymore, because the machine will be able to learn how the company is meant to be running. What is important is what you could do. Become a business coach, become a influencer, become a change agent inside your organization. We've already created a course for that. We've got a masterclass for an internal business coach change agent that's available on our website, because I can see that career is going to change. So the machine learning is going to do all the audits, and it's going to do all of the, yes, you're doing the right thing, no, you're not. And so humans will still be needed, because you need the business improvement aspect. So as an internal consultant and internal change agent, how can I help the organization to improve? The police aspect of being an auditor and checking and making sure everyone in the company is doing what they should be doing, that'll be taken away and that'll be automated. But what will be something that it's going to be difficult is the improvements. So until the machine learning can see pattern recognition in other companies and benchmarking, that's probably still 10 years away. To tell an organization what it should be doing to be successful, that's still going to be a human interaction. So I would recommend you focus on becoming an accredited change agent or an accredited internal business coach in your organization to help the organization keep going forward. We've already got a course for that. It's available on our website if you're interested in more information. I wasn't planning on talking or selling that in this, but if you're somebody who's working in a company and you want to help that company improve, then I would go and check out that course. 100% Nick Fagan. More digital access means increased information security and data security. 100%. So the work that Nick Fagan is doing and our team at Next Practice is, yes, we expose ourselves as we become more convenient. We do expose ourselves, and we've got a team of cybersecurity professionals and specialists. So if your organization wants to look more at these technologies and look more at the opportunities that exist, then that is definitely something I would ask you to consider. Is we can do a review of what opportunities exist and what some of the issues you might have. Are you exposed from a cybersecurity perspective? So here's the thing. I talked about non-fungible tokens. If somebody accesses your non-fungible token with your key phrase or passphrase and unique codes and passwords, then you will have a problem, because they can steal your identity and then they can steal your digital asset. Now, if that digital asset is your real estate, your house can be stolen. Very difficult to steal a house right now, but as the records become digital, then someone can pose as you and take possession. They could sell it, they could transfer it, they can take possession of it. It will be a risk. And that is something we need to be aware of in the future, is how we're going to manage that. Can't stop the technology, it's going to happen. So we need to prep for that, and we need to be more specific. So it's important to double down on your passwords and your usernames and make sure you've got passphrases. The things that are difficult to guess, but easy to remember for you, but difficult for external people to guess. So if your password is password, it's time to change it. Okay, so lots going on in Web 3.0. I'm really interested in it, exploring it, and how it can help people to help organizations to grow and improve. And hopefully you guys, if you are an aspiring artist, whether it's music, whether it's drawing, whether it's fashion, whether you make something, I'd suggest that you start looking at how you can actually use that to make money, and what the great opportunities are for you. So if you are somebody who's watching us on Instagram, I welcome that. Okay, that's all I've really got to say. There hasn't been a huge amount of questions. So same time, same place next week. Bring your questions. We've got lots going on that's right at the cutting edge of technology, helping your organization to be a great place to work, a great place to buy from, and a great place to invest in. So you can find me on @Kobi Simmat on Instagram. That's my favorite platform. You can find me @Kobi Simmat on LinkedIn, Best Practice TV on YouTube. And if you don't see me on any of those social channels over the next couple of days, you will definitely see me here, same time, same place, right here next week in the studio on Best Practice TV. Bye for now.